Hi, this is Paul Cunnington. I am a student of the mind. I'm also a mentor and a coach. One of the very first things I started to learn in my journey before I became a coach was about autosuggestion. And autosuggestion, I was told, is how you achieve your goals because you've had scripts and programs running in your mind that have been running on repeat your entire life ever since you were a young child. And now we need to figure out what those scripts are because when you're unconscious and you're not even aware of what they are. So first we have to establish what are all your habits right now? What are the things you're doing? What are the things that you would like to go for? Like when you feel a sense of purpose, what sort of goal would you like to go for? So then we can understand what things would serve that goal and what things do not serve that goal. What things fit with the identity of the person who's achieving that goal and what things that don't fit with the identity of the person who's achieving that goal. And we start to write them down. And you just get a piece of paper and we split them down the middle and we start to get down the things that are good for us and the things that aren't. The things that are taking us in the direction we want to go, things that aren't. And we start to write down the positive version. And I remember thinking to myself, you mean to say I'm just going to keep writing this down and okay, I've got to write it as if it's already happened. I've got to write it with I am, because I am means, I'm enforcing that that's my true self, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to write this on a list and I'm just going to sit there like I was back in school and been given detention and write it over and over and over again. And oh, by the way, I mustn't write it down in the way I used to when I was at school. Did you ever do that? I remember sitting in one of these big gym rooms, gymnasiums, these tables, and that's where all the people had been. Basically, you were in trouble, and you'd sit there with a big sheet of paper, and you'd be writing this thing down over and over and over again. So I would get bored, and I would start to write the I, and then am blah blah blah, or I will not blah 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 blah. And of course, it's funny because see, I'd made a pattern, and then eventually I'd just have the last word because I found I could do it quicker that way. And of course, the interesting thing about those auto suggestions is we'd always be writing, I will never, I don't know, write on the chalkboard, I will never kick the ball over the, I don't know, whatever it was. I'm not going to admit to anything that I used to do when I was at school. But, and of course, saying I will not is just as the same as saying I will, because it's like people who say, oh, I'm going to get out of debt. If they were to keep writing that all down, you're simply bringing back the energy of what you don't want. So affirmations, autosuggestion has to be written in the perspective that firstly it's already happened, and that as you're actually living that way now. Um, and I thought, well, this is stupid to just write things down over and over again. This isn't gonna. I'm not gonna just write down sheets of paper and then all of a sudden you're telling me I'm just gonna get it. Then I, with the help of my ego and the programming that's running in my mind, even though I'd got coaching, I was having coaching. I'd go on YouTube or I'd go on social media, and I would find somewhere that would say, I would look until I found something that said, affirmations don't work. Repetition doesn't work. I would ignore perhaps the number of times that I'd seen it said that it did. I was just looking really, in my subconscious, I was looking for that one place where it says it doesn't work. And then, of course, aha! I knew it. I knew it was a load of rubbish. It's a waste of money. Doesn't even work. And that's how your mind plays tricks on you. Whenever we're being taught something new about our mind and we start to discover all these things that we never knew before, we try and find somebody else who explains it in a different way that we can perhaps interpret it as, it could even be that person isn't saying it the way we want to say it, but we'll hear it as the way that we want to do things, the way we want to approach things. I mean, even though that hasn't been working for us in our lives right now, even though, we're frustrated, and even though a coach has been explaining that you need to do auto-suggestion and this is how you do it, no, we're still an expert. We're an expert on what we think we need to be doing. That's a load of rubbish. Well, the key thing is auto-suggestion does work. And when you write it down in the right way and you do it religiously, am I allowed to say that? You do it in a disciplined way. You do it every morning, you do it every evening. You carry something that has the auto-suggestion written down. What you're doing is you're attracting everything in the non-physical world that you need to achieve that goal. Now, animals and plants, they don't need to learn auto-suggestion because they are not born with the ability to choose. An acorn is an acorn. It's repeating all the time, I'm an oak tree, I'm an oak tree, I'm an oak tree. And so it's attracting all it thinks it needs to be an oak tree. Same with all the animals, same with all the plants. But you see, we're different. We've been given a choice. And we can decide what we go for. We can decide what it is we want to do. Now, if we've already been given auto-suggestion, because auto-suggestion is going to be running all the time anyway. I mean, whether we believe it or not, that's how you're currently living your life. You're running through auto-suggested scripts, but these ones you're running unconsciously, and the new ones that serve you, you'll also run unconsciously. But these ones have been given to you as a child, and you weren't even aware of it. The new ones, you're going to purposefully add those new habits. You're going to choose them in line with where you want your life to go. And when you were a child, just like with your language, and you were learning these things, and you were hearing them over and over and over and over and over again by auto-suggestion, then that's how we do it now to replace it. We replace it exactly the same way, and we have to replace it. You can't just get rid of that habit and say, right, I'm gonna kill that habit and I won't do that anymore, because it leaves a void. And if you leave a void, then something else will go in there, and it will more than likely, if you don't do it consciously, be something that doesn't serve you. So it needs to be replaced. Think of it a little bit like right now, I don't know if this analogy will work, but I hope it does. I used to imagine, as I started to understand things about the mind, that I said, wow, I thought I'm kind of like on a plane, and this plane never lands. And the plane has, it's got its different compartments, and you've got your economy section, and you've got, what would it be then? Business, or you've got, I think, a slightly higher standard you can have now, and then business, and then you've got first class. So in this environment, in this plane, you can improve your life to get in, a better section, bigger seats, maybe even beds, and you can get yourself in a better place, but you're still in this plane. And let's say you manage to get yourself to the first class area, and you're thinking, this is pretty good. And then let's also imagine that you see the pilot's door. And let's forget now that, I know because of security and things, everything's locked up tight now, quite rightly. But let's imagine it was like the old days. And if you were in first class or something, or perhaps children or what have you, they would sometimes let people say, would you like to come and meet the captain? And I remember that once when I was a teenager, and I could go up. They said, would you like to go and see the pilots? Oh, yes, please. And you go into where the pilots are, but this time there could be a mentor or a coach, perhaps myself, who's sitting in the co-pilot seat. But there's nobody in the pilot seat. It's empty. And of course you think, well, where's the pilot? Who's flying this plane? Well, you don't have to worry about that because it's on autopilot. Your life is on autopilot. Your life is in this plane, and you're just going to fly around, and we're never going to land, and this is it for the rest of your life. I mean, eventually they'll come to a point where it will, just fizzle out, maybe run out of fuel, and then it just pew, and that's when you leave this world. But until then, you just stay in this place on autopilot, and you never ever leave it, unless for some reason you start to feel inside of you, I wonder if there's something outside of this plane. Now the interesting thing is that the plane can be landed at any time, but the only person who can land it is you. Not even the co-pilot, not even if it's me sitting there as the co-pilot. I can't land it. I don't have the ability to fly your plane, because it turns out this is your plane and you've got complete control over it. And you can switch the auto switch off, and you may freak out a little bit at first, but that's okay. That's what the co-pilot is there for, to help you think it through and to help you guide you and help you to think about the controls and help you think about actually all these powers you have inside of you. And that's when you start to reprogram yourself into not only how to land the plane, but what is the destination where you want to take the plane to, and then land it. Now, to do that, we've got to start putting in all this programming over and over and over and over again, the same way the bad programming, or the programming that's not working for you at this point, was put in. And it's the only way to do it. And because we start doing that, we're doing like the plants and animals are doing all the time, because they don't know any different. That's the pulse they're putting out. If you're a bee, I'm a bee. I'm a bee. I'm doing what bees do. We have to find what we are, what is our purpose, and then what is our feeling, what is our highest feeling, what is we do, and then what are the things that the habits we need to have to install into our unconscious mind, so that we just do that all the time. We just do it all the time. We just be. We just be. I don't mean be like in a bee. I was just like a bumblebee I was talking about, but like we just be. We just are. That's the meaning of I am, to just be. And that's what autosuggestion will do for you, as long as you write it in the right way and you do it with feeling, and you don't want to be scribbling it all down like we used to at school. It's okay, let's just try and get this down and I can get out of here. You need to write this and you need to feel it. Remember, we live in an ocean of motion. Everything is vibrating, and the plane is still flying. We're still in motion, but we've got to get that energy and emotion in the right direction now so we can land that plane and we can go to any destination, find any purpose that we want to. And now we're in control. We're no longer on autopilot. Although this is an interesting thing when you say things out loud and you put it in the physical world, you catch yourself and you think, hang on a minute, that's not quite right, because you eventually will teach yourself to be on autopilot. That's what autosuggestion is all about. But you're going to be on autopilot in a way that you feel really good about your life and feel good about yourself. So if you want to talk more about things like autosuggestion and the other techniques that we use to support you and help you find all the faculties, these special faculties that you have inside of you. And I don't mean your senses. I don't mean, sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing, all that sort of thing. That they're only there just to help you sort of do your regular day-to-day stuff. I mean some special faculties you have that help you to understand your true powers that you have within you. And like I say, only you can fly the plane of your mind. You can only do it within yourself. A co-pilot, myself, can only guide you and support you. But that can be tremendously helpful. Anyway, if you ever have any doubts about autosuggestion and someone's mentioned it to you and really strongly urged you to keep with it, then please do so. Stick with it. Stick with it. Stick with it until you know different. Okay. Let me know if you ever want to discuss this subject any further. My email address is on there, paul@paulcunnington.com. As I said, I'm still a student myself, and I'm still learning myself. But I would love to mentor and support you in any way I can. So I'd love to hear from you. All right. Take care now. All the best. Bye-bye.